Welcome to part 5 of this 7-part series on becoming superhuman. My name is Ben Greenfield, and I'm the head coach at superhumancoach.com, where we teach coaches how to help you get the fastest results possible effectively and safely by combining many of the different variables that are required in order for you to truly become superhuman. And of course, one of the most important parts of becoming superhuman is having a brain that works exactly as you need it to with clockwork-like precision. And one very, very important component of your brain's performance is what's called your heart-brain connection. And what you're looking at right now is a basic diagram of how your heart-brain connection works. And the basic idea behind this is that your heart has a certain rhythmic frequency with which it beats. And if the rhythm in your heart is coherent, meaning you have what's called a very good heart rate variability score, then what happens is that literally influences the electrical activity in your brain. This is something that kind of flies under the radar when it comes to, the way that we talk about how we think and our mental performance. And a lot of times we don't think about our heart being associated with our brain's activity. But the fact is that science and studies have documented the significant ability of your heart's activity to affect your brain. And so, for example, what you're looking at right now is how if you feel stressed out, if you feel threatened, it can affect your blood pressure, which can affect your heart rhythms, which can directly affect your well-being. And in this case, your mood, or it could be your focus or your mental productivity, or whatever the case may be. Your heart will actually affect your mental performance. Now, the interesting thing is that you can actually detect your heart's electrical field. And this is done using an actual tool called a magnetometer. Now, you don't actually have to go out and get a magnetometer or go get your heart's electrical field tested. But the reason that I'm telling you this is that it's important for you to understand that in the same way that your brain produces electricity and has an electrical field, your heart also has an electrical field, and it's actually much bigger and emanates much farther out from your body than the electrical field from your brain. Now, what happens is that every time your heart beats, there's a certain time interval between each heartbeat, and that's called your HRV, or your heart rate variability. And that heart rate variability is going to change based off of feedback from your nervous system. So if you're extremely stressed out, you're frustrated, you've got a lot of emotions of anger or frustration or stress going on, what happens is that specifically your sympathetic nervous system, which is the part of your nervous system that's responsible for running from a lion or fight or flight, it begins to trigger the heart rhythm to become very erratic, very disordered, very incoherent, basically bouncing all over the place. And when you have this type of incoherence, that directly affects your brain's electrical activity. And so you have a disruption in your IQ, in your mental performance, in your focus, in your drive, and even something like your motivation to work out or your ability to be in the zone during a game or during a race. In a similar way, positive emotions, feeling close to your family, experiencing some form of love, being very grateful for something, appreciating your day or something that's happened to you, you can literally track and test what happens to the heart's electrical activity when you're in a situation of positive emotional state like that. And you'll notice a smooth and ordered and a coherent pattern in your heart rate variability. And you can actually train yourself to respond very, very quickly to these positive emotions and to use positive emotions like love or gratitude or appreciation to actually pull you out of a stressful situation and get you into a coherent heart pattern as quickly as possible so that your brain snaps back to being able to function with the mental performance that you're shooting for. And I know that some of this sounds like, woo-woo science talking about love and gratitude and appreciation, but you can graph the stuff. I mean, I personally thought this was all a little bit funky, and I went out and I got a device that tracks my heart rate variability. I hooked it up and I focused on what happens happened when I thought about stuff that kind of disrupted my thought patterns or made me stressed out, like the 100 things that I had to accomplish for that day. And then I would sit and think about something that made me a little bit more calm, made me think a little bit more about gratitude and appreciation. In my case, the faces of my children. And it actually affected that heart rate variability within about 30 seconds. So understand that these heart fields can interact with your brain. The interesting thing is that because your heart produces this electrical field that emanates from your body, it can also affect your interaction with other individuals, whether they be teammates, your spouse, your children, coworkers, people that you're perhaps in the office or in a workplace negotiating with or interacting with. If you have a state of positive emotion and a coherent pattern in your heart's electrical activity, that is literally something that is detectable by other people's brains. And literally, electrical activity in your body can affect how comfortable someone feels around you. So you can literally be in a state where you're completely stressed out, not necessarily be showing that on the outside, but have an incoherent electrical activity in your heart on the inside, and that can actually affect how someone perceives you and interacts with you. It's very, very interesting stuff, and it's one of those reasons you can sometimes get this feeling in your gut when you're around somebody that something isn't right, even though they may look like everything is just fine. So this heart-brain connection is very, very cool. It's very dynamic. We spend an entire month training our coaches on how to actually use heart rate variability and how to actually manipulate heart rate variability in order to get you really good mental and emotional results, because that's a huge part of becoming superhuman. Here's an example, another graph that shows what happens to, specifically in this case, your heart rate variability when you are frustrated versus your heart rate variability when you're in a state of appreciation. This is a graph from the Heart Math Research Center, and Heart Math actually does a lot of research on this type of stuff. It's where I first discovered and started to research heart rate variability for myself, and it's pretty drastic when you just track over 200 seconds what happens to heart rate variability. What the coherent pattern versus the incoherent pattern looks like in response to certain emotional states that you're in. Now, this is what I use to track and test my heart rate. There are other devices out there. This one's called an EM Wave 2. Like I mentioned, it's put out by the Heart Math Institute. It's got a little cable that comes out from it that can attach to my earlobe. So that's where it's detecting my heart rate and the amount of time between my heartbeats. And I can literally plug this in, and based off of my breathing and my thoughts, pay attention to this little green and blue light that's on the monitor. And I can train myself to get myself into a state of coherence as quickly as possible, so that once I can get into that state of coherence, when I get into a situation where I need to negotiate in the workplace, or I need to prep myself for a tough workout, or even get ready on race morning before a triathlon or a marathon or something of that nature, I can literally pull myself into the emotional state that I want to be in. And device like this is anywhere from $100 to $200, and in my opinion, when it comes to solidifying your heart-brain connection and training yourself to how to get into this emotional and mental state that literally can make you feel like you're superhuman in terms of your mental performance, something like this comes in pretty handy, and it's very cutting edge stuff. So something that I do recommend, and something that we train our coaches how to actually work with you on. Now, if you want to actually hook up with one of the certified individuals within our Superhuman Coach Network, whether locally in your area or online, we have a global network of coaches who we endorse as being able to allow you to become superhuman as quickly, as safely, and as effectively as possible. All you need to do is go to superhumancoach.com. There is a button there that looks like this where you can click to request a coach, and we'll hook you up with someone who can work with you. If that's a little bit too complicated, just go over to the email where you got a link to this video from, hit reply to that email, tell us what you're looking for, tell us what you want to accomplish, whether it be to just lose a few pounds, whether it be to live longer or live better, whether it be to finish an Ironman triathlon, whatever your goals are, we can help you get there, and we can help you get there safely and quickly. So go to superhumancoach.com or just hit reply to this email where you got the link to this video, and we're happy to help. Until next time, I'm Ben Greenfield, signing out from superhumancoach.com and wishing you a great day.